Hey friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Bianca, and I am someone who simply has hopes and dreams just like any other human being. However, as an Asian woman, I have definitely encountered my share of misogynistic behavior and racial discrimination. I mean, let's not try to sugarcoat anything. These problems may be invisible as well as subtle, but they exist, and I honestly don't think that they're going to vanish during my lifetime. In spite of this harsh reality, I suppose the somewhat rebellious or stubborn side of me is still determined to thrive within the flawed system even as I fight it. This eventually led me to stumble upon a book called Take Back Your Power, written by Deborah Liu, who is the current CEO of the world's largest genealogy company called Ancestry. So for some context, Deborah is basically this Silicon Valley veteran and one of the most influential female figures in big tech. And before joining Ancestry as the CEO, she has actually worked at a number of world-renowned tech firms such as PayPal, eBay, and Facebook, alongside a bunch of powerful female leaders such as Sheryl Sandberg as well as Vijay Simo. And if you happen to be wondering who was the big mastermind behind some of these famous products such as Facebook Marketplace as well as Facebook Pay, well, we got Deborah to thank. I personally got to know about Deborah's work when I stumbled upon her Substack newsletter called Perspective, where you can kind of say that she took this as an opportunity to share all about her learnings from her career in tech, her leadership experiences, as well as the lessons she has learned from being a parent. Over time, I have to say that I also began to consider Deborah as one of my mentors from a distance because I found myself relating a lot to her aspirations of wanting to make a mark on this world as well as help others succeed. And I also just in particular appreciate the fact that she was really open and honest about the kinds of struggles and mistakes she has faced along her way. So when her book came out, I just simply thought that it would be worthwhile reading and just listen to what she has to say about power and how we could take control of ours. This brings us to discuss, what is this book all about, and seriously, why that title? I'll have to be honest, I actually wasn't the biggest fan of the word power because I tend to immediately associate it with negative connotations such as evilness as well as egocentric behavior. But that's also precisely the myth that Deborah was seeking to debunk, because she started out her book with one very simple and clear message. Power is not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, power should actually be something that we would want more of because it just gives us this greater ability to influence people as well as the events occurring around you. So long as you have genuinely good intentions, I would say that power should actually be seen as a tool to help you maximize your positive impact. This then leads us to the problem that Deborah is seeking to really highlight about. Unfortunately, in our world, women are held to different standards than men, whether it is as leaders, managers, colleagues, or even as parents. I do not plan to dive into any unnecessary details, but I have definitely faced times where I've been told to be more assertive, but to also back down when I'm starting to make others feel uncomfortable. I have also witnessed situations where my male counterparts are seen as leaders as long as they are competent, but I will only be considered as a leader if I am both competent as well as likable. And to top it all off, women are often punished if they want power, whilst men are often rewarded or praised for it. So how the heck are women supposed to go about with this systemic bias? Because there'll definitely be unpleasant consequences if we just simply try to bulldoze our way through. But staying silent and just keeping our heads down is never going to solve the problem. With that, Deborah actually took the initiative to share a few practical tips that I personally found to be really useful. And in this video, I simply decided to take out 3 key actionable tips that I thought has actually stood out to me. Let's get started. First of all, I would say that one of the super unexpected ways for us to take back our power is by learning to forgive. I don't know about you, but when I first read it, I had this impression that it was a bit of those fairly underwhelming or even a counterintuitive advice, because I tend to first perceive forgiveness as kind of like letting people get away with walking all over you. But I'm going to just make this bold assumption that that's actually the majority of us. So let's just try to first debunk that misconception. Basically, forgiveness is all about you actively choosing to just not let the painful events of the past define or even influence the way you are today and in the future. And here's the thing, forgiving doesn't necessarily mean forgetting. So you can just forgive someone for your own sake, but you have the complete liberty after that to just either set that personal boundary or just simply cut that person out of your own life. And as Deborah writes, practicing the act of forgiveness is really meant for the forgiver, not for the forgiven. And that point in particular is an important one because let's just say you were to hold this super heavy emotional baggage over someone who has wronged you in the past, like say 10 years ago. If you come to think about it, you are essentially letting that person take control over your state of mind for like 10 years. Or in simple words, you would basically be giving away your power, and that further perpetuates the problem. And honestly, there's tons of scientific research that can showcase results on how forgiving can actually bring about loads of mental health benefits. So it's pretty clear that forgiveness is both a choice as well as this gradual process of healing that will benefit you in the long run. And that is one way for you to essentially take back your power. Now, moving forward, one of the other ways for you to take back your power is to find allies. And that's because of one simple fact. No one, absolutely no one, succeeds alone. If you're hoping to make it far in life, especially as women, you are definitely going to need a handful of people who can basically support, guide, and just push you forward, aka allies. And in Deborah's book, she was basically trying to explain how there's actually 4 main types of allies in the workplace. So the first one would be mentors, which she defines to be someone who can give you advice for achieving success. And these groups of trusted advisors are usually experienced people. Next in line would be sponsors, basically people who can simply create a path for you to reach your goals. In other words, they're the people who would open the doors for you, push you to take on these stretch assignments, and provide you with opportunities that you didn't know existed. Following that, we have teams, aka the kinds of people you work with. And finally, you need circles, which are groups of people with shared professions, interests, or acquaintances so that you can just be yourself without feeling any form of fear. Now, to relate this whole notion of finding your allies back to taking back your power, the whole point that Deborah was trying to bring across is that you're gonna just actively seek out these relationships and find a way to prove that you're worthy of this support. And once you have achieved some level of success, your job now is to really pay it forward to the next generation. Because honestly, the only thing that you're truly carrying forward across your entire lifetime would be the people you've met as well as the relationships you have built. So please don't neglect your allies. And for my final point, Deborah has also reminded everyone in her book to simply design our lives based on how we want our endings to be. And that's because taking back your power also means you get to decide how you want your story to end, followed by reverse engineering it to just figure out how the heck you're going to get to that. And since she formerly trained as an engineer, she tried to break down this thinking into 3 simple steps. I mean, just take it as a guide. Number 1, draft your final chapter first, because if you wish for a life well lived, well, writing your ending first can give you some idea on the direction you could strive for every single day. Second, craft your vision by having an idea of what you want your legacy to be. So just try to be as clear as you can about your purpose and why you're choosing to do what you're doing. And last but not least, hold yourself accountable by setting annual goals and milestones, because if you're determined to just change your life, you got to get your reps in. At the end of the day, there really isn't like one right or wrong answer as to how you should make your mark. The main message Deborah was trying to bring across is to simply decide to chart your own course and pursue it with all the passion you have. And that's basically like this ultimate way for you to take back your power. With that, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. If you found it to be insightful, do consider hitting the like, subscribe, and bell icon to support my channel. Although this book is technically targeting women, I hope that everyone at the end of the day can understand that regardless of your gender, sexual orientation, etc., that you have more power than you think. There'll always be something for you to do to positively influence the people and events around you, so don't hesitate to just seize that opportunity. In the meantime, if you're one of those people who is into personal development, you might want to check out my mini discussion where I talk about Gary Vee's latest book called 12 and a Half. Till then, I wish all of you a pleasant day ahead, be nice to yourself and others, and I shall see you in my next video. Bye bye!